Welcome to Farmhouse Italian Cooking. I'm Chef Tony, and this is Cooking in Quarantine. I'm stuck in quarantine for 2 weeks because I was out of the country, and I'm cooking what I have in the house, what I have in the freezer, what I have in dry goods, and what I have that needs to be done before it's no good anymore. So I'm going to make a really cool soup. Hang in there, and we're going to go through the ingredients. Okay, for the ingredients, I'm using olive oil, white wine, flat leaf Italian parsley that I chopped up. I have butter and garlic. I have them separated right now. I'll show you why later. Salt and pepper, reserved pasta water. I made meatballs. I'm going to put meatballs. I'm making a soup, right? So these meatballs are smaller. They'll fit on your spoon when you're eating the soup, okay? And those are the meatballs from my meatball video. If you want to know, watch the video. I think they're good. I have frozen spinach. Found that in the freezer. Gonna use that too. I have mirepoix, and that's 25% celery, 25% carrot, 50% onion. And I have tortellinis here. That's where I got the pasta water. And I cook these 90% of the way. Don't cook them all the way. And I'll show you why when we put the soup together, okay? I have stock, and I have chicken and vegetable. This is something that I usually keep in the house all the time anyway through winter, because I'm going to be throwing soups together. Okay, so the basis of this soup is usually staples in my house during winter time anyway. So it worked out for this quarantine thing, right? I also made a sachet. Sachet has bay leaf, parsley stems, crushed peppercorns, and dried thyme. This is a flavor bomb, okay? You drop this into your soups, and it makes your soups 10 times better. I guarantee it. I'll put a picture of it up in the corner, show you what it looks like when it's all laid out. It's very simple to make, not a big deal. So, that's the ingredients. Let's get cooking. Alright, I got my hair restraint on. I don't want no hair on my food. The pan is hot, ready to go. We're going to start with the olive oil, alright? Just put a little olive oil on there. Going real quick here. You want it hot? Get the mirepoix in here. Salt, pepper, a little bit more of that. Maybe a little more olive oil, all right? I want to get a good coat of olive oil on it, okay? Now I'm running on high. If you want to run a little slow, go medium high, but stay about that high. You want to keep moving with this. I moved all the mirepoix out to the edges and left the center of the pan open because I'm going to hit it with the white wine. This looks a lot like the start of pretty much most of my soups. Not all of them, but most of them. And all for good reason, because it comes with a lot of flavor this way, okay? Now, the wine's in there, and I'm starting to cook out the alcohol smell. It's still in there. Starts coming out. Pretty quick if you run it on high, right? Okay, all the alcohol's out of it. I'm going to go in with my butter and my garlic. It's my next step. And like I said, this looks like a lot of my soups. Because it is. They don't all taste the same. But they all, most of them start the same. I can't say that all of them do. And this helps you keep certain staples in the house. So you're ready to make soup, especially during the winter time, okay? Now I was thinking about putting tomatoes in here, And you can do that if you like. Tomatoes will kind of stretch it a little bit. If you got more family or kids and stuff like that, put some tomato in there and it'll stretch it. But if you put the tomato in, you put it in right now because you want to cook the tomato a little bit before you put the rest of the ingredients in. And I'd say cooking the tomato like this probably for about 10 minutes. And that'll make sure that it's not acidic, you know, when you start building your soup, okay? So, I'm going in first with the chicken stock. And I still have it on high, all right? Now, I didn't use all the chicken stock. I have to save it for something else. I'll show you what that is, okay? Now I'm going in with the vegetable stock. I'm just gonna put all the vegetable stock in there. And being that I'm using stock, there's no fat or salt in it. So as I'm seasoning this soup, it won't get too salty on me. If you're using a broth that has a higher sodium rate, be careful on your salt so it doesn't come out salty, okay? All right. Now, we're gonna bring this up to a boil, back it down to a simmer, and let it go on a simmer, I'd say a half hour to 45 minutes. This is when you put your sachet in, okay, before it comes up. And when you make the sachet, you'll see some dust coming out of it, and that's fine, because those little pieces are not gonna bother you when you eat the soup. The cheesecloth is just there to keep the larger pieces out, so you don't have a big piece of crushed black pepper where you bite down on it or something like that. So you just drop it in now, and then it'll come up to a boil, and then right away back it down to a simmer. Don't leave it on a boil for long at all, okay? That's just to bring the flavors together, all right? Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna do the frozen spinach. Okay, now this is how you saute the frozen spinach. This is gonna look a lot like the way I do the kale because it's just the same way I do the kale, okay? And this is to build flavors into the soup. If I just dump this into the soup without seasoning it or sauteing it or bringing it together with any kind of flavors, the soup is gonna be very flat, okay? So olive oil, frozen spinach, salt, pepper. Always season as you go. I'm gonna put the butter and the garlic right on top. And it's on high, and you wanna do this on high. Come in with the white wine. And it's gonna steam. So you're just letting it steam in there, and what it's gonna do is it's gonna start melting the butter and the garlic, and it's cooking out, of course, your alcohol in the wine. It's not really cooking out the alcohol content of the wine. It doesn't do that. It takes the bitter taste out of the wine. So saying that, I'm misstating myself, okay? We're still coming up to a boil over here, so I'm able to do these two things at once. My meatballs and my tortellinis, they're ready to go. So I don't have to worry about them. So this is coming up to a real hard simmer, so it's time to take the lid off of it. I can still smell that bitter from the wine. I wanted that to come out of there. And it will. You just simmer it long enough, it'll come out of there. Yep, it's coming out. And now once the butter is melted and the garlic is getting in there, you don't want to overcook the garlic, okay? So at this point is when I'm going to start taking the reserves of my chicken stock and putting it in there, okay? Now what I'm going to do is let this come up to a hard simmer. This is up to a boil. Bring this down to a simmer. And this is going to go for 30 minutes to 45 minutes, okay? This here is going to simmer on low until it reduces about half, okay? Once we get to that point that this is reduced by half and this is simmered on medium low for about 30 minutes to 45 minutes, we're going to come back and we're going to finish it off. So hang in there. Okay, we're back. And I first want to apologize for no camera angles or anything like that because I'm doing this video alone. I am in quarantine, so my quarantine videos are going to look a lot like this. So use your imagination. All right, we've been simmering for 45 minutes, and I'm going to take the sachet out. It's done its job. Take that out of the way. And it's still simmering very low right now, okay? And the reason why I use pasta water is because it has starch in it and a little bit of flavor from when I cooked the tortellinis in it. It's the only reason. But what I'm doing here is putting a little bit of that in there for flavor and to kind of like thin it out a little bit because it's really, really rich right now. If you like it that rich, you can just leave it that way, okay? Now, our spinach has been reduced by half, and it's cooked and it smells really good, right? So putting the spinach in with all the juices and everything, because that was the point, to build more flavor and add it to the soup, okay? Set this back over here. The next thing that I want to put in is the tortellinis, because they're cooked 90% of the way. And at this point, you could just turn off the soup. It's done. Because the heat of this soup is going to cook those tortellinis the rest of the way. And the ingredients that I give you at the end of the video is just going to be a guideline. If you want more tortellini or less, or a different pasta or anything of that nature, you just change it up, do what you want. You can use different flavors. You know, you could put in Italian seasoning and make it a little bit like that if you like that. Anything that you like to do with these soups, you can start bending them one way or another, you know, with the flavors that you like. You know, turmeric is another good thing to put into a soup, you know, and it's good for you too, okay? Now, I'm putting meatballs in there, and I forgot to tell you the reason why they're in a paper towel is when they come off of the baking sheet, because I bake them, I want the grease, you know, that's on the bottom of them to soak out of it so it doesn't end up in the soup, you know. Now, if you don't have meatballs and you don't have chopped meat and you have sausage, use sausage. Just saute the sausage a little bit before you put it in there. Just brown the sausage, season it, salt, pepper, whatever you want to put on it, and then put the sausage in at the end just the same way, okay? And then just to finish it off, I just take a little bit, well, a lot of it for me, but some people a little bit of the Italian parsley, and it's dry, and I didn't buy it dry, I bought it fresh. I chop it up and I just let it dry out in a bowl on the countertop, and then that's what I keep for my dried parsley, okay? And this is a quarantine soup, so I really don't have much of a name for it, but I'll call it the Meatball Tortellini soup if I put it up, put a name on it, you right? Okay, so if you like what I'm doing here, you like what you're watching, you like the recipes, you got any comments or anything like that, subscribe. And we're going to let you know when we come out with new videos. And if you have any comments, leave them below because I read them. And as always, enjoy my recipes and have a great day.